Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another show. Today we are talking about sleep hacking tips. My gosh, I gotta tell you, I feel like I feel like I have a whole new appreciation um for kids. My hoodie's not agreeing with me here. Did I say a whole new appreciation for kids or for sleep? Because as a newer parent, um, that's not really working out for me. That is ridiculous. What is happening? I don't know. I always wear hoodies. I don't think I've had that problem before. People are like tuning in for the first couple minutes and they're like, I'm out of here. Let's see. Let's see what we have. You know what's really nice is
My gosh, I gotta tell.
oops.
Let's see.
Morning, Karen.
Let's see what we
You know what's really nice is the lighting. Usually, so my office is usually downstairs. We've changed it a few times, but it's downstairs in our basement. It's not like a dark, dingy basement. There's a couple windows there, but there's like a big, bright window here, and I don't even have I have like studio lights, and we're traveling, so I don't even have them with me. And this lighting, I feel like, is better than with our studio lights. I think any photographer would tell you that natural light is much better. Morning, Shelly. And okay, so today I want to talk about sleep tips. If you guys want to open up with anything that you're grateful for or any wins, I'd love that. It's always nice to hear. I'm gonna grab my water here. It's always nice to hear what people are grateful for in the morning because that sets your whole day up for success, right? I feel like it's really difficult. Many times we think about all the negative things that are happening in our lives instead of the positive things. So it's definitely worth recognizing. Now, okay, so sleep. When it comes to sleep in particular, we have different levels of sleep, right? Like or different positions that people are in. Sometimes people have never really have never really slept or haven't slept for years, and that's always interesting to me because I'll have a conversation with someone, they'll be like, "Oh, I only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep," and I'm like, "Really?" Like I suppose there's like that's what I'm saying. Like everyone's in a different position, but 3 or 4 hours or 5 or 6 hours of sleep. Many times that's been happening for years, and we just accept that, right? Like that's how I am. Those are my sleep habits, or those are what naturally occur in my life. That's how I sleep, and we accept it. And then I say, so my thought process is, well, what do you have to compare that to? So what do you have? You have your 5 hours of sleep. That's all you really need. What do you have to compare that to? And in many cases, you have 20 years to compare that to. You don't even remember of what it's like to sleep really well. So if you have, let's say, 7, 8 hours of sleep, and I feel like everyone's a bit different, but let's say in between 7 and 8 hours of sleep. When is the last time you've slept that long, right? And here's the thing is that if you haven't slept that long in years, then you don't know how well it feels to sleep for an extended period of time, right? All we know is what our own experiences is. And then of course, I mean, you have research and you can read about it, but I think research or experience trumps all when it comes to like what's your own experience? What are you going through? And that's why like there's it's so different, so difficult to be like one size fits all. Like you go to your doctor, for example, in most cases, they get the same recommendation for everyone. And even like I'm not going to get into medication, but often medication is the same dose for everyone. And it's like I'm a different person. How can that be the same for everyone? Like I don't. I'm not going to say I don't understand that. I don't agree with it. I understand what they're doing. I just don't agree with that. So for you to be like you need, like I think more and more research is coming around sleep. I think it's 8 hours, and before it was like I think it was like 7 hours, but what's recommended. But you have to find out what's best for you. For me, I feel really good at seven, 7 to 7.5 hours. That's how I feel my best. That's a consistent sleep. Some people are like, I could sleep for 10 hours. Like that's great, but how do you feel? Like have you slept for 7 hours? And have you noticed the difference? Because sometimes people, oh, I could sleep all day, but then you're lethargic. I don't want to say I don't mean lazy, but you just don't have that energy. You don't have that. I'd like to know how in the comments you guys, if you guys would entertain this question for me, because I think it's important. It'd be helpful for me to understand how many hours you're sleeping at night. And like, there's no right or wrong answer. And I know some people sleep really well and other people don't sleep well. And you know what's interesting? I feel like as we age, we sleep less, which I feel like it should be the opposite, no? Like as you get, I mean, like there's very similar comparisons to young children, like toddlers, to older adults, and like older adults, I would guess would need more sleep just to heal and rejuvenate and feel better. But it's always interesting for me to hear what people are saying because, and I mean, I don't want you to think it's the same thing like when you're sore, like, oh, I'm sore after a workout. You shouldn't feel like that is a weakness, right? Like you should be sore sometimes after workout. You shouldn't be in a place where you're not able to walk. That's different. But it's the same thing. Some people don't want to share how well they sleep because if they sleep too long, it's a weakness. I'm lazy. If they sleep too short, then there's something wrong with me. But I feel like most cases people will talk about how seldom they sleep, right? Do we have any? Shelly says I prefer 7 to 8. Good morning, Trudy. My mom says good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Okay, so at any rate, it's more challenging. Like we know what it's like to sleep for short amounts of time, right? And some people do that all the time. So I want to give you some ideas on what you can do to help increase your sleep habits. I just have a reference here before I forget. I interviewed this guy named Sean Stevenson, and he had a quite popular book called I think it's 21 Days to Sleep Smarter, something like that. But if you go to my our website or if you search any podcasting platform, Sean Stevenson on exploringmindandbody.com, we'll actually drop it in the link here for you guys that are watching so you can check it out. So you can easily just click on it. But he offers some really good sleep tips. And you know, it's nice. Like I get the opportunity to sit with someone that is usually an expert in one field. Like they specialize in one thing. For Sean, for example, he does a lot of different things. He has a huge audience, but like very well put together individual, a very successful business. And I get a chance to interview these types of people. And so, if I get a chance to learn from someone that has studied one subject for years, then I think it's super beneficial for me, but in my own personal life. But then, of course, I get a chance to share some of that information with my audience, and being you guys. Morning, Carrie. Okay, so I guess what I was saying is that so we know, like, as we have a toddler at the time of this recording, and we know what it's like to have, and many of our audience is parents, whether you have younger children or your kids are a bit grown now, but there's different reasons we sleep. Like stress is a big one, right? Like stress is a big reason why we don't sleep. So it could be something to do with your job. I was just talking about kids. So you might sleep a little bit less when you have kids, but then your kids get older, right? And you have different worries. And so you're worried about them so you're not sleeping because you're worried about them doing something else in their life. Not particularly waking you up. At any rate, stress is definitely number one, or a big factor when it comes to sleep, and making sure you're getting the proper sleep in your life. And I feel like the first thing I want to mention here is that I don't feel like we should accept our position in life, like whatever that is. And it doesn't matter where, if that's financial, if that's health wise, sleep wise, digestion. I feel like there's a way to improve in whatever situation you're in, and you'll need that mindset to improve. If you have that mindset of, oh, like hereditary. Someone told me one time, oh, no one in my family is flexible, so I can't be flexible. So that's why I'm not flexible either. And I'm like, uh, that's like saying no one in my family has graduated high school or college, so I'm not able to either. Like, that's not. I mean, I at least personally, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I certainly don't agree with that. You can change your situation in life, but you need to have that mindset of I'm going to make changes in my life to improve my situation. And that comes with like sleep in particular. Like, okay, I'm not sleeping well. Maybe I haven't slept well for years, but let's make some changes to see how we can make some better adjustments and improve in different areas. So, having a proper mindset, that's number one. I talked about stress. So, we don't actually we talk a lot about stress. Like, we do stress detoxes, like detox in particular. We talk about foods putting stress on your body. I will get into foods here shortly, but like stress in particular is super detrimental to our health at a cellular level. So, it's like a free radical, very similar to refined sugar, alcohol, tobacco, those stimulants that I'm going to talk about here. Those keep you up at night, and if you're not looking for different ways to reduce stress, then your stress just continues to accumulate. So you have to find ways to reduce stress in your life. I'd love to know in the comments if anyone's brave enough to share what's stressing you out right now. I know it's the holiday season, but there's always things that we find stressful in our life, whether that's kids, finances, job, family, spouse. I think it'd be nice to hear from you guys. So, okay. So when it comes to stress in particular, we have to do things to reduce stress. So you could look at reducing the refined sugar in your life. You could look at reducing those types of low quality foods. Like if you look at, for example, let's look at rancid oils. That's an easy one. So we put highly processed food in our body that usually contains a rancid oil high in omega-6, for example. So you have your seed oils. Those are easy ones like canola oil, grapeseed oil, cottonseed oil. There's probably some easier ones. At any rate, there's a bunch of oils in particular that we should stay away from. Soybean oil, those cause so that causes inflammation in our body. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I have aches and pains, right? I have restless legs. I have." A lot of people will say, "I have arthritis or osteoarthritis, whatever it is, whatever you've been labeled." And we could look at like, okay, that's great. We understand that as we get older, our bones weaken and are more they're more feeble, right? So what can we do about instead of being like, okay, I've been diagnosed with that, like, okay, what can we do about that to make changes in our life, right? Or to help improve our situation. So if you look at the stress we're putting on our body from rancid oils, so that rancid oils causes inflammation in our body, and then it causes chronic pain, right? So we're trying to sleep with chronic pain, and then we have a whole lineup of medication on the counter instead of looking more. And then you have one form of medication, and because of the side effects, you have another form of medication. So we have a whole lineup or a whole bathroom full of them instead of looking at the root of the cause of the issue. So probably stress is number one. So how can we do stress in our life? And then removing these rancid oils. And of course, this is just one example. There could be a number of different reasons, but you start taking action towards reducing stress in your life. Now that could be meditation, for example. It could be sauna. It could be an ice bath. I know it freaks people out when I say ice bath, but it could be an ice bath. It could be meditation or prayer. It could be exercise and a workout. Like everyone has different ways. Like you could be chopping vegetables. It could be knitting. It could be going out for a walk. Like there's tons of things that we can do to reduce stress in our life. It's just that we don't do them. Like we don't take action. We just sit there in a turtle position in the dark. I mentioned in our last live. It's like, and you just kind of wait it out, and you're hoping to survive instead of thrive. Like you're just hoping to get through that. And if you don't get, I mean, if you don't work on thriving, it's like the holiday season. I heard from a handful of people that are like, I'm just hoping not to gain weight. Like that's not the mindset that you want, in my opinion, to succeed. You're just hoping, right? Like you're in that position, you're in a defensive position in your mind and in your body with your actions. You should be in an offensive position. Like we know that it's challenging. Like no one said dropping inches, losing weight, living with full of energy, improved digestion. Nobody said that's supposed to be easy. I feel like that's our natural state where we feel the best, but that doesn't mean it won't take work to get there. So some people are like, I'll talk to a client on a Zoom call and they'll be like, "Oh, this is hard," and I'm like, "Okay, like it's hard, right? Let's we have that established. It's hard. You know what's easy is eating processed food and going through the drive-through and not paying attention to what you eat, laying on the couch, never exercising. That's easy. But do you want, so those actions will take you to a position where you are in life. So probably overweight, lack of energy, feeling terrible about yourself, not fitting in your clothes. Like, so those inactions will give you a result, probably what you're not looking for. So would you rather take the easy route and do nothing, or you take the harder route in life and you put in the effort that you need to put in to change your position in life? Trudy says interacting with big personalities this Christmas. Isn't that a kind way to put it? I don't think any of those people are going to be watching this live, Trudy. So you probably don't have to use code language. I'm just kidding. You can use whatever language you want. I know I work with quite closely with Trudy. Trudy's down 34 pounds, um, looking amazing, and feeling great too, from what I understand. But it's not like you lose. Here's the things, like it's not like you lose weight, or it's not like you gain energy and it's over with, right? It's the same thing with marriage. You don't get married. You don't get married to get married and then you quit. It's over with, right? It's the same thing with fitness. Or you could look at, what was another example I just thought of? Um, like, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be finances, right? Like, oh, I have money in the bank. You're not going to stop working. You're not going to stop trying to earn more money. A lot of times people are like, oh, I'm going to get to my goal weight and it's over, right? You don't quit. Like it's in same thing in business, right? Your goal is to keep being successful enough to keep running your business, right? Your goal isn't to like run a business for a few years and be like, great, done. Same thing with your health. It's not like I hit my goal weight, I'm done. The goal is to keep you at your goal weight and continue to thrive and improve in different areas of your life. Like sleep, for example. You're not going to sleep one night and be like, ah, I had a great night's sleep. I don't have to work on that ever again, right? That's not how it works. We have to continue to take steps for our health and to improve our health. And this, like, sleep is a super important one because we all know what it's like to not be functioning properly because you didn't sleep well. And again, that could be from stress, or it could be from a toddler. It could be from um, it could be from a number of different things, right? It could be from the food that you ate. So it's important to understand that there's not an end to it. The goal is to keep moving forward and not having that mindset of in that defense mode, being like, oh, I'm just hoping to hang on, because we know how challenging it is to see progress when you're working toward progress, when you're working for change. So if we're talking about sleep in particular here, it's not like, oh, I had a couple good nights sleep, or I think I'm in a good position to have um, a little bit extra sleep. You want to keep working on your lifestyle so you're sleeping on a regular basis um, throughout the night, right? So stress is a big one. So take steps to improve. I hope some of my tips helped you there, but take some of takes excuse me. Understand that we need to reduce stress in our life to sleep better, and then taking action steps, like I mentioned, to reduce that stress. Another one I want to mention is food. It's an easy one. I talked about stimulants here. A lot of people will sit there and watch TV in the evening and they will snack on processed refined sugar food, right? Like those are stimulants. Those are like those will spike your blood sugar levels so you're awake, you're more alert. So what happens is we're sitting there watching an action movie and we're or it's like a thriller, or it's what's what's the one they kind of leave you hanging, like a cliffhanger movie, and you're sitting there eating sugary foods, so your mind is stimulated, like wide awake. Your body is stimulated because you're putting refined sugar in your body, and then 20 minutes later you lay in bed and you think you're going to fall asleep, and then you're like, I just don't sleep. Like, no. That's not how it works. You were just watching an action movie, eating a bag of chips. That's why you're not sleeping. So understand that the steps that you take, you're either taking steps towards better sleep or taking steps further away from them. What did Angela have to say? I enjoy Angela's sense of humor. What? You mean I have to do the rest of my life? Yes, you do. I like the marriage reference. In reality, anything that's worth doing will take work, sometimes more than others. Yeah, like that's the thing though, right? Like marriage takes a lot of work. I think those of us like we know that Dorothy and I talk about it. It's not like a. I don't think it's a. I don't. It's not like an insult. Like you have two people with often two different personalities, right? And then you have probably have different wants or needs. Goal, you have different love languages, right? And you have two very different people, and you have to come together to live together, to think together, to eat together. So like we're always together. But it does take work, and people often comment on our relationship, and we appreciate that. But it's not like we have a perfect relationship, and it's not like it would just magically happen. We're always communicating and talking about it and trying to improve our relationship, and that's exactly how it is with your health, right? Like it's not like it's not an end. Like your marriage isn't an end. There's no end date. Your goal is to be married forever, as far as I understand. Some people have different marriage goals out there, and I know it's challenging, and I don't mean that to put anyone down that may not have a long lasting marriage or may not be in a relationship. It's just an easy relation to health, right? Like I hit my goal weight, I'm done. Like what are you talking about? Like we had some people that have worked with us in the past for 6 weeks. They've worked with us in the past, sorry, for 6 weeks, 90 days, and then like, oh, I'm good. Like even a year, like you've been even a year, like think about that for a second. I think a year is a reasonable amount of time, but still a short time to join a program and be working towards your health, right? And the only reason I say that is because of the experience that we've had. So listen to this. It'd be much different. I'd have a much different perspective if people would work with us for like join our program. I'm talking about our MAP program in particular. So 90 days or 6 months. Let's say that. It's 90 days or 6 months and they're like, "Okay, I'm good." And they continue to live a healthy lifestyle and work towards their goals and feel better. But I could tell you about 98% of the time, 2 months later, I reach out because I care, because we actually care about our clients. Like, hey, how are things going? Are you still working towards your goals? And they're like, oh, this happened, that happened. It wasn't a good time for this and that, like blah, 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 right? And they slowly take steps back to where they were. And I feel like not only all like not of course not just us, like the work that we've put in has been not beneficial, but they put in so much time and effort all to stop 6 months in. So that's why I'm saying like our experiences, like that's a short amount of time. Just think about that for a moment. A lot of people have struggled with their weight and lifestyle in general for 20, 30 years. If you're going to take 90 days or 6 months or even a year and be like, okay, I'm good. Like, just think about that. What do you have that to compare that to? You have 1 year of, maybe some coaching, better nutrition, better lifestyle, exercise, that 1 year out of 30, right? Is that enough time to be like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to do that stuff anymore, or I don't need the guidance or help or mentorship or coaching, right? Probably not, right? Like to be fair, and I'm not talking about just fitness. Like if I'm a big fan of coaching and mentoring. We have our own business coach, for example. Should I move on after with my business coach after a year? Probably not, because there's more to learn, there's more to grow. So as you work through these steps for sleep, understand that it's going to be a process. It's not going to be like, oh, a couple weeks of good sleep, good, or a couple steps for a couple weeks. It's going to take months to change your habits and to change your mindset and to change your actions. So I'm not saying like it's very clear if you're like eating a bag of chips or cookies or movie popcorn, like movie theater popcorn, for example, and then you're used to watching action movies. We got to slowly, like right before bed, we got to slowly change that so it's not instant, right? I don't expect you to be like, oh, I watched this show or listened to Drew talk about this topic and I'm good. I'm perfect with sleep now, right? It's a work in progress that takes time and effort. So so that's the food end of it. So understand that the food that you're putting in your body will prevent you from sleeping, and that's the same as going to sleep. Like you're not able to fall asleep quickly, but also consider being able to sleep in a deep sleep for an extended period of time. So sometimes people are able fall asleep quickly, and then they wake up in the middle of the night and are wide awake and have trouble falling back asleep. So I feel like so if you're like, so some people could be like, oh, I eat chips and cookies and donuts. I don't know. Does anyone eat donuts before bed? I eat those things and I watch action movies and I can fall asleep fine. But then 3 hours into the night, 3 hours of sleep and you're wide awake, that probably has something to do with it as well, right? And then you have to look at screen time, right? So it's pretty difficult. And like I live in this world too, right? Our screens are everywhere. We're on social media. We're watching laptops or TVs. So it's recommended a year. Don't have anything like a year before you fall asleep. It's an hour before you fall asleep, no screen time. I would say at minimum do 30 minutes. Like start with 15 minutes, putting your screens away 15 minutes before bed, not scrolling through your news feed because that's a stimulant as well, right? First of all, it's blue light, and blue light is not something that's beneficial to our health. It's actually detrimental. So you have blue light on your screens, on your cell phones, you're scrolling through your news feed as a stimulant, keeping you awake at night. So I would suggest start off with 15 minutes, working towards 30 minutes. And then if you can extend that to an hour, even better. I feel like there'd be a very small percentage of people that could do that, just being realistic. But I feel like if you could do that, you would have a much better opportunity to get a restful night's sleep. And that includes not scrolling through your news feed in the middle of the night. Right? Like scrolling through your news feed, checking out what everyone else is doing in the world, and just because you had your phone sitting next to your bed, which is another good one, right? I would highly suggest, excuse me, difficult word for me. I would highly suggest not having any electronics in the room. So no TVs. A lot of times people will put a TV in their room and they will fall asleep watching TV. That's not a great habit to that's not really a great habit to have because your mind is constantly going, right? And you're still hearing, even though you're not watching it, you're still hearing what's happening there. And personally, I feel like that kind of messes with your subconscious a little bit. So removing phones, TVs, laptops, remove them from your room. And if you feel like you need them to fall asleep, slowly get away from that or watch less and less. And I was at a position in life where there's a time in my life where I had to watch TV too to kind of power my mind down. But if I were to be honest, that was a point in time where didn't feel like that healthy, like I wasn't mentally healthy. Didn't have reduced stress or less stress in my life. And sometimes like for me, my mind is always going around business, to be honest with you. And I feel like I need to I need to like completely tune off to fall asleep. So sometimes I'll read a book. Other times we'll watch a show. Like we'll watch like a 30-minute show. I don't know if does anyone watch Everybody Loves Raymond? Let me know in the comments. That was like I know that it's been a while since that was on TV, but we watched that on one of the streaming platforms, and I love that show. It's so funny. That guy cracks me up. So at any rate, we watched that whole series. We're done now. But now what we do is we put on a Christmas movie because it's the holidays, and we watch it for about 20 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, and we're both falling asleep. So we're like, let's go to bed. But understand, like, that's completely different, right? Like that's completely different from falling asleep with the TV on. That's different from watching 3 to 4 hours of a show before going to bed. And that's fine. Like if that's what you want to do, that's great. Like do what you want to do. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like that's a great way to reduce or increase your sleep habits or improve your sleep habits. I want to talk about magnesium in particular. Those of you guys that know us from our audience know that we're big into magnesium and natural supplements. Magnesium is a great way to reduce stress. Magnesium is reduce stress, improve sleep. It's really good for digestion, chronic pain, restless legs. Magnesium has over 300 enzymatic functions in the body. Like you need magnesium. And I'm a food person first. And I feel like most people should have a good handle of food and proper nutrition really before they get into supplements. And as someone that runs a supplement company, that doesn't serve me well to be like, Don't take supplements to replace food. That's what most companies will tell you, right? Oh, just take our supplements. Don't worry about food, right? But if you really want an honest opinion of how to improve your health from the inside out, you start with proper nutrition, then you add supplementation into your diet, and then you could look to more advanced types. Like if you want to look at, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying this stuff, but you look at like stem cell therapy, like that's pretty cool stuff, which is you're not, I don't even know, I don't think, I think it's fine to talk about, but it's like you're not able to do that in Canada. You're only allowed to do that in certain states in the US. And you could look at, I mean, you have to look, I'm not going to get into the whole pharmaceutical end of it, but you have to look at who's going to benefit from it and who's going to be harmed from getting into those types of things, which I would consider more natural. Like you could look at peptides, for example. Peptides are becoming more and more popular. I'm talking about injectable peptides, um, not like collagen, for example. But you could look at those. Like that's another level of health, and I feel like that's almost like a gray area in between pharmaceuticals and natural supplements. But that, I mean, that's next level health, right? So I would say you take a step by step process of getting control of your food and nutrition first, making sure you're exercising, living as healthy as you can. Then we get into supplementation as a supplement, not as a replacement, right? And then if you want, you could get into even more advanced health. And I think like there's so much out there. It's incredible. Like I hear from I hear from so many people that are like, "Oh, I've tried everything, nothing works." And I'm like, like really, like really, that like that's just a limited mindset. That's all that is. Like we've seen incredible results with people in our program. In fact, you know what? I'll go on a limb. I'll go out on a limb and say we've seen results from every single person in our program that's put in the work. I'm talking about our metabolism accelerator program, and it does take work. Anything takes work unless you're taking a pill, powder, potion, and that'll work short term for sure. But that's going to stop working at some point, and you're going to have to increase the dosage, or you're going to have to get off it completely because of the side effects of whatever your pill, potion, or powder is offering. And then what happens? You've learned nothing about lifestyle, food, exercise, so you're going to gain that weight back, or all those health issues that you've had, the reason you've been taking it in the first place is going to come back, right? So that's a tough one to deal with because there's a lot of junk out there that people want to take because it's a quick fix, and it's probably going to cause more harm long term, in my opinion. But exercise is a great way to get your body moving. It's another tip for me to get your body moving. It's a great way to, like, I feel like our bodies were meant to move. I do. I don't think our bodies were meant to sit in front of a screen all day. And if you want to improve your health at different levels, like reducing stress, that's an easy one. You want to reduce stress, you exercise. You can look at restless legs, right? Like restless legs is one for a lot of times people come to us for magnesium in particular. And I know like Dorothy has a family, she has restless legs, she has a family history of restless legs. When she runs and works out, her legs are way better, like are almost eliminated of restless legs. Then on top of that, taking magnesium, they're gone. Right? So then you have people that take a low quality magnesium and they're like, oh, magnesium doesn't work for me. I still have restless legs, but they don't need to add an exercise or a quality supplement, right? So those are kind of a couple issues there of that limiting mindset of like, okay, well, what have you tried or what could you try in different areas to help with that? So being active and getting out and moving will help move your body, and it'll help you sleep better because when your body is awake and alert, it should be moving in some way or another, at least throughout the day. And then from there, that will help improve your sleep habits. I feel like it's important to mention like other stimulants. Like I think I talked about refined sugar, processed food. I talked about rancid oils a little bit, but look at alcohol and tobacco. Having that later in the evening, caffeine, that's also going to keep you up. And a lot of times, I don't think we think about it. Like, oh, caffeine doesn't affect me anymore. Like caffeine, if you're having 3 or 4 cups of coffee in the morning, that could have something to do with you not sleeping at night. Like we don't want to connect the two because we love our coffee and we don't want to believe that's possible. But in my opinion, you should look at everything that you're putting in your body on a regular basis. It's the same thing with alcohol, right? We don't want to think about, oh, I only had 1 glass of wine or I only had a couple beers after work. Like what's the problem? You could even consider I only drink on the weekends, but you can't sleep during the week. Well, you're still putting a stimulant in your body that's preventing you from sleeping at some point. So I'd imagine that it would affect you during the week as well. I'm a big fan of routines. I think I'm a big fan of morning routines, and then bookending your days. Like whatever your morning routine looks like, that's fantastic to get you primed and ready to rock throughout the day. But then in the evening, we need to have some type of routine, whether that's like putting on relaxing music, brushing your teeth, having a hot detoxing bath, maybe lighting a candle. Did I mention music, like soft music? I feel like putting your body in a proper state of being will help improve our sleep. Like you could look at Anthony Robbins, for example, or Tony Robbins. He talks about priming your body, like getting your body, your mind set properly to be a extreme achiever or overachiever or whatever you want to say. So you're actually priming your mind and your body for optimal success, right? In all walks of life. Now consider that in the evening. Like we don't do anything in the evening to prime our body for sleep. All we do is continue to do everything that we're doing, and then we stop, we lay down, and we're like, how come I'm not sleeping? That probably has something to do with it, right? So make sure you're doing little things and that could be a relaxing book. It could be a TV show, but maybe it's a relaxing TV show. Or maybe it's a boring one. maybe you're watching the Animal Channel to go to sleep. Whatever that is, it should be the opposite of stimulating, right? Or exciting. It should be probably a little bit boring, and like nothing that's gonna wake you up, and probably nothing inspiring either. Like reading something inspiring. Like I can't read business books in the evening, or something inspirational, right? Because then I'm like, all right, let's go. I have to do things that are a bit boring or that slows me down. Otherwise, I'm going to be more excited, and that's not really going to help out. That certainly doesn't help me out. I think that's pretty much all I have. If you guys have any questions about this topic in particular, you can always shoot them over. We're going to put together a PDF of this, a PDF of maybe a checklist of what you can do to make sure you're getting yourself properly set up for I was going to say restless night's sleep. What's the opposite of that? I think you know what I mean. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for joining live. If you want that PDF, send us a message. We'll probably put up a post asking who wants to see it. But thanks for joining live. If you've popped in here live, and if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments. And then, of course, this is a nationally syndicated radio show and podcast as well. We're on Facebook Live right now. Sometimes we put the show on, this show on as a podcast as well. So if you're listening there, we appreciate you tuning in and checking out our show. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you soon. Bye, guys.